I love it, man. All right. Looks like we're just about live into Facebook. Welcome, everybody, both on the webinar side and on Facebook and LabCoatAgents. We've got a great guest with us today. He's going to go into what Pacaso is. I'm sure you've seen it in lab coats. That's where I first saw it. I'm like, what is this? So I went on Google, checked it out, and I was like, whoa, this is different. And then I had to understand it deeper. So I texted, what's his name, dude? Your CEO, got your...
My co-founder?
Yeah, co-founder.
Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer. I texted Spencer and I go, what's up, Spencer? What is this? He's like, Austin's running it. Let me connect you. I was like, okay, hold on. And then I got to Whitney, and then I was really pleasantly surprised at what it is, because it's almost like you're creating a brand new niche for real estate agents to make extra commission, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to get into that, but first, explain to me where the idea came from and how you got involved.
Yeah, you bet. So let me just rewind back a little further than the origin of the idea and just share that I started my career as a real estate agent. When I was 18 years old, I started selling real estate, and that led to my first company, Dotloop, which became part of Zillow back in 2015. And about a year before that, it was 2014, my wife and I were fortunate enough to become second homeowners in Lake Tahoe. And prior to that, we had only dreamed of owning a second home. We didn't have the means to pull it off. But in 2014, we were able to stretch and make this dream a reality. And it was life-changing. I mean, my wife and I will never forget that first evening after we closed on the house. We were sitting in this home, no furniture, had nothing but a bottle of wine and our little Yorkie. And man, we just felt so accomplished. We felt like we had realized this dream that we had been thinking about for a long time. And that sparked the beginning of a new chapter for our lives. And as I reflect back on the last 6 or 7 years of being a second homeowner, Lake Tahoe has become an integral part of who we are. We have new friends there. We're part of the community. It became the place where we went to unplug and recharge the batteries and build memories. And ever since that moment, I always wanted to find a way to make the second home ownership dream possible for more people, because while many people aspire to own a second home, it's unfortunately only a reality for the top 1%. And we don't think that should be. We think that the top 15 or 20% of the world, basically anyone who has some discretionary income and has some savings that aspires to own a home, should be able to do it.
I love that, man. That's a really good idea. I'm going to just rewind back because you said you had a Yorkie. What's the name?
Yeah, she's great. I still have her. She's in the other room right now, but her name's Paris. She's about a 7.5 pounder. She's 14 years old. She's fantastic.
I love it. I've got a Yorkie too. Name is Brownie.
Ah, cool. I love them, man. They're great.
So cool. All right, man. Well, that's cool. I love that. And I love the idea behind it. So how did you formulate this team to say, okay, let's take this to the next level? What did that look like?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I sold my last company to Zillow. And about 4 years prior to that, I had gotten to know Spencer Raskoff, who was co-founder and CEO of Zillow for a long time. And obviously, when I became part of Zillow, I worked closely with Spencer and a bunch of other amazing people at Zillow. And he and I left around the same time. And you know, I always admired him, and I think he always admired me as an entrepreneur. So we started talking about ideas that we both had. And this was one of 3 or 4 ideas that we were kind of knocking around, and it was one that really resonated for both of us. Spencer similarly had a second home experience, slightly different, perspective, but the common theme around having that place where you can get away and recharge and build memories with people that you love. That was something that also connected him to the mission of this company, which is to enrich people's lives through second home ownership. So as soon as Spencer and I came together on the idea, first thing we started to do is kind of rack our brains on who were all the best and brightest people that we had worked with in the past, because at the end of the day, nobody succeeds alone. Great businesses and great products they all start with great people. So we were fortunate to surround Pacaso with a bunch of really amazing people, 15 to 20 of us, of the original, call it 25 or so people, had all worked together, either at Zillow or Dotloop for, in some cases, 10 plus years. So we have a long history of working together, and most of us have spent our careers in either the real estate or travel space. So that's how it came together.
Cool, man. All right, so then let's get right into the idea of how this works. So I'm looking for a property. I go and I find one, and I'm like, oh, this would be an amazing home, but first, I don't think I'm going to live here all the time. And second, I don't know if I can pay that much for a second home, right? And that's where you come in.
Yeah, totally.
So help us understand the idea.
Yeah, you bet. So first, to frame up the problem, like from a macro perspective, there are almost 10 million second homes in the US, and there's about 20 million second homes in Europe, which are the first two geographies that we're focused on. So call it 30 million second homes in total across those two geographies. And when you survey second homeowners at scale, or even anecdotally, if you're just at a dinner party and you meet somebody with a second home and you ask them this question, how often do you use your second home? What you will find in the data is that the vast majority of second homes sit vacant 10 to 11 months a year, because most people only use their second home 5 to 6 weeks a year. As crazy as that sounds, that is the reality. So that's a big problem. It's a big underutilization problem that we saw as an opportunity. Similarly, on the buy side, or the demand side, if you will, there's a lot of people who aspire to own second homes, but are unable to, largely due to reasons of cost, meaning they either can't afford a second home, or they can't afford the whole second home that they want, or in some cases, maybe they can afford the whole second home that they want, but they just can't stomach owning 100% of something that's going to sit vacant 80 or 90% of the time. So that's where Pacaso comes in. So if you are a buyer, regardless of where you're at on that spectrum, either you couldn't afford a whole second home at all, or you can afford the second home that you want, but you just don't want to waste money, and in that way, having an asset sit vacant, you simply contact Pacaso or contact your real estate agent, and Pacaso can help to empower you to get the right home. And the way that it works kind of depends on where the listing is sourced. So let's say, for example, that you have a listing in mind that you found on your real estate agent's website, or on Redfin, or on Zillow. And let's just call it, for simple numbers, let's call it a $2 million listing, but you've only got a $500,000 budget that you want to spend. You can bring that listing and bring your budget to Pacaso. Pacaso will then go aggregate other co-owners and empower you to become a 25% owner of a $2 million property instead of a 100% owner of a $500,000 property. Similarly, if you don't have a listing in mind, you could simply go to Pacaso, either on our website, we do have some listings and we have more coming online, or you can just contact Pacaso through our website, and we will work with you in partnership to find the right listing. And again, we'll put together the ownership group so that you can buy only the amount of the home that you'll actually use and need. On the sell side, so that's how the buy side works. On the sell side, it's very simple. You basically just decide how much you want to sell of your home. It could be anywhere from 25% to 100%. And Pacaso will then aggregate people who are interested in owning your home and help you to sell your property. So one of the really cool things about this offering for sellers is that it offers a solution that's really never been possible before, which is the idea of selling part of your home. So I would imagine that many of the agents who are listening to this webinar right now have sold homes to second homeowners in the past, and those homes are sitting there vacant, 10 to 11 months a year, as I described before. And those owners probably wouldn't be interested in selling their whole home because they love the whole home and they love to use it 4, 5, 6 weeks a year. But they'd be very interested in selling 75% of the home because it empowers them to take some money off the table, pay off their mortgage, reduce their annual operating expense, all while retaining the same amount of ownership in the property that they would have been using in the first place.
Yeah, makes sense, man. Makes sense. All right. So Then let's take a look at the purchase process. So if I'm going to go and buy one, would I just identify any home that I like and be like, wow, this is an amazing home. I'd love to purchase an eighth of it or a quarter of it. What's that process look like? And then how does the agent get involved in there?
Yeah, you bet. So the way that you described it is pretty much how it works. You just find a listing or come to us and in partnership with your agent, and we'll help you find a listing. And as long as it's a home that we think will do well in the Pacaso model, meaning it has to be turnkey, clean, modern finishes. It has to have the right number of bedrooms. It has to have the amenities that are locally relevant and of interest to people who are going to be buying a second home in that market. So as an example, in a place like Napa Valley, it's really important that the home has a pool. That's what buyers, that's one thing that buyers really don't want to compromise on in this market. Versus Lake Tahoe, people don't really care about a pool, but they do care about a garage, right? Because they want to make sure that their car is covered when 3 feet of snow dumps in the middle of the night. So the requirements are a bit different from market to market, as you might expect, but as a general rule, the homes need to be beautiful and turnkey. And once you find the property or work with us to find it, we then do the work to aggregate the other buyers. In terms of how we work with agents, so we basically just provide the co-ownership service. So think of this as like co-ownership in a box. We don't sell real estate. We partner with real estate agents who sell the real estate. So every single Pacaso on both the listing side and the buy side is represented by a real estate agent, one of our partners in these various markets. And then we handle everything related to co-ownership. So setting up the LLC, forming the operating agreement, helping to aggregate the other co-owners. We pay all the bills. We design the property. We provide software that empowers people to share the calendar. But the real estate agent partners that we work with are the ones that are transacting on both the listing and the sales side. And I can walk through some of those economics if now would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, because I wanted to know, you say we can earn 3 times in the process of this buyer, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to open up the website that you've got. You can take us through it too, just so people can see. I'm on Pacaso.com/agents, right? So as I'm scrolling down here, it explains a little bit about it. And then we get to this, which is my favorite part, Austin.
It's a winner.
I'm an agent, dude. What can I say? So take us through this.
Yeah, so real estate agents really love this slide because it's pretty compelling. The gist of it is we will help you earn as much as 3 times what you would earn on a normal transaction in certain scenarios. So the most lucrative scenario is the one that is on the screen right here. We call this our lead buyer program. And what that means is if you bring a buyer or multiple buyers that equal 50% of a home, we will pay you or empower you to earn 3 times what you would have otherwise earned in a normal transaction. So let me just walk you through a scenario. Let's say that, so I live in Napa Valley, which is where I'm sitting now. So I'm going to use this market as the example. In Napa Valley, let's say you're a real estate agent that has a client that has a $1 million budget. For $1 million, it's really hard to find a Pacaso-worthy home, something that's like beautiful, turnkey with all the right amenities. So most likely that $1 million buyer is probably not going to transact because they're probably not going to find the home that they want given the dynamics in this market. But with Pacaso, you could take that $1 million buyer and turn him or her or them, in the case of a family, into a 50% owner of a $2 million home. And the way that the economics work there is when you bring us that buyer, we will buy the other half of the home. We'll pay you on the first $1 million that you brought to the table. We'll pay you on the second $1 million that we purchased. And then we will pay you to relist the home or the other half of the home as our real estate agent partner. And then about 50% of the time when you're listing a Pacaso, the buyers who come in unrepresented. So you end up getting a higher portion. You could actually earn more than 3 times because you'll end up getting a higher portion of buy-side business as well on the relist. So that's the lead buyer scenario. It's kind of bananas in terms of how lucrative it is, but the reason why, so you may be asking like, what's the catch? Why in the world would you guys pay 3 times? And the answer is that, you know, we know that real estate agents, particularly in these second home markets, the good ones, are very busy right now. So it really took, our belief was that it was important that we came out of the market with something really bold that would get people to turn their heads and pay attention. And this definitely delivered that message. But the other reason is that this is a new concept. So, you know, it requires a little, not much of an investment, but it requires a little bit of investment of time. You know, you need to have a phone call with our team. You need to read the materials. You need to be versed enough to be able to talk about co-ownership with your clients in an educated way. So we really want to make sure that the return on your investment during these really busy times is quite attractive.
All right, so take me through that, because that's the biggest question we have as agents. So the minimum they would need to bring in, or we would need to bring in as an agent, is somebody that's going to purchase 50% of the home, right?
So not entirely. So that's where I was going to go next. So the lead buyer scenario is where if you bring a 50% buyer or 2 quarter buyers that equal 50%, in that scenario, that's where you can earn the 3x commission. If you're just bringing a buyer that wants 1/8 of a home, for example, which is a pretty typical scenario, we pay 3%. We pay a full 3%. So regardless of you know what the seller, in the case of an active listing that's currently listed as a whole home, even if there's only 2.5% available to the co-op, we make up the difference and pay a full 3%. And the beauty of that model is why you're getting paid on, you know, the share that you brought to the table. So like, let's use that $1 million example again. Maybe that $1 million buyer really wants to own part of a $4 million home. In that scenario, you could convert that $1 million buyer to a 25% owner of a $4 million home. The benefits to you are you're going to be converting that $1 million buyer that would probably have otherwise not converted into a transaction because their eyes were set on a $3 or $4 million home anyway. So you're going to get paid a full 3% on that $1 million that you brought, and we will do most of the heavy lifting. So one of the things that many of our agent partners will say is that doing a deal with Pacaso is kind of like giving a builder a referral. Like we try to make the process very easy. You obviously need to do the real estate side of the transaction as the real estate agent involved in the deal, but everything around explaining the Pacaso ownership model and talking about common questions like scheduling and how to resell, we handle all that so that it's very turnkey for the agents who are referring the business. So regardless of how much your clients want to buy or sell, we pay a minimum of 3% commission. And again, if you bring a 50% buyer, we'll pay you 3 times.
All right, so let's go through that. And I'm going to use me as an example because I'm in Malibu, right? So great area for this. So let's say I bring in somebody who says, oh, I really love this home, Tristan. It's on the beach. It's 10 million, but you know, I was only hoping to spend about 5. So I bring him to you. You guys work up this deal. It's 50% of the 10 million, which is great. You guys buy the rest of it, right?
Yep.
And now when we relist, you're talking about relisting the extra 50%, correct?
Exactly. And we relist at the share price. So we would relist it at, in that example, 1.25 million per share, which would be 1/8 of 10 million.
Got it. All right. So then let me share a screen because I just want to share what you've got here just so people can get a better idea. So I'm looking at, let's just use this was an example of the Napa Valley one because
Yep.
you're there. It says 1/8 ownership on this one.
Exactly.
Cool. So depending on what's available, it's going to tell us there, right? So
yeah,
what is
so
PrePicasso mean then?
almost all of these homes are offered as 1/8. There is one exception, which is the one you just pulled up. And this is a 1/4 ownership opportunity. but most Picassos are available as 1/8. And if you go back to that Napa home, that's a great example, a pretty typical example for us. This is roughly a $7 million property. If you were going to buy this home, it was listed on the market for 7 point something. Beautiful home, 10 acres, all handcrafted. All the materials were shipped in from France. I mean, this place, like, the photos don't do it justice. You literally feel like you're in the middle of Tuscany, but you happen to be sitting in Napa. It's actually right next to the old Robin Williams estate, which is a pretty famous house in the valley. So this is a home that you would have had to spend $7 million to buy on your own. And again, the cost to operate a home like this is non-trivial, right? With Pacaso, you can buy into it for $873,000 a share, and your operating expenses are also cut in 1/8. And Pacaso literally handles every little detail from start to finish. So that's a pretty typical scenario. And regardless of how you bring in the buyer or the seller, you get paid full commission.
That's awesome, man. All right. So we relist the 50% of the home, right? They come in,
Yep.
Somebody buys it. And what happens if, let's say a year from now, one of the buyers that's already, that now lives there is an owner, they want to sell? Who do you contact? Do you contact that same agent, or where does that go?
So if there's no agent affiliated with the buyer or the property yet, we work with one of our local partner agents. So any agents on the call that want to become a Pacaso partner, you can just go to the agent tab from our website, submit your information, and we'll send you a little marketing package, and we can start the conversation about a partnership. And as part of that partnership, we will give business to our agent partners. So if the buyer had come in through a real estate agent in the first place, though, the buyer will be able to relist their share with whoever they want, that same real estate agent that brought in the business in the first place. So it transacts just like a whole house. The only difference with Pacaso is that we have a 1-year minimum hold period. So new buyers have to hold on to their share for 1 year before they can resell. After that, the process is very similar to selling a whole home. It basically gets listed with a local real estate agent through the MLS at the share price, whatever share price the seller chooses. And then it syndicates to all the other real estate websites that everyone on this call is familiar with today, including Pacaso. We syndicate to our website as well, obviously.
I love that. Dude, well, everybody here, I just posted it up on LabCoatAgents, by the way. I just posted up that link and I told everybody to sign up.
Cool. Love it. Thank you.
You guys just created a niche, man. I really don't see how this isn't a benefit to real estate agents.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge benefit for sure. And there's one other thing that you alluded to that I didn't get to answer there when you had our listing page up, which is PrePicassos. If you want to pull that up for a second again, yes, Tristan.
Definitely.
What PrePicasso is it's an exciting, this is actually a new concept that we just introduced, and it's going really well. Our agent partners love it because it's basically free marketing. So if you have a listing that you think is Pacaso worthy, that you want us to basically spend money, time, and energy marketing on your behalf, we can bring it on as a PrePicasso. And basically all we need is the photos and your permission to use the photos temporarily for a week or two, however long you'd like. A week is pretty typical. And we then market the Pacaso to our audience. We pay for different marketing channels. We publish it on our website. We share it with people in our database. And the reason why we want to do that is not just to help market your home. That's part of it. But the other reason is we want to find the next Pacaso in these different markets. So as we market that home, if a lot of people express interest in it, we will then go buy that listing, right? So it's a very cool opportunity for agents out there who have beautiful listings in these second home markets. We will market it for you and send you leads for free. All we need is permission to use the photos and access to the photos for a week while we do the PrePicasso marketing. So that's a super cool program. The one other thing that I was going to share, Tristan, as you're talking about the introduction of this new category, it very much is kind of a new category, at least when you think about it at scale. But the concept in and of itself is actually not that new. It's actually been around for a long time. We just call the predecessor to us do-it-yourself co-ownership. So that would be like if you, Spencer, and I decided we wanted to buy a house in Malibu, but again, we didn't want to spend all 10 million each. We just wanted to spend $3.5 million each. We could go do that. And that happens all the time in second home destinations, especially like ski towns where people do ski leases. People will often, families or friends will go in on houses together. And the way that that works is fairly similar to the way that Pacaso works. However, the difference is the friends are the ones doing all that work, taking on all that risk, dealing with all the headaches. And while it is possible to do, and some people pull it off, it usually ends the friendship, or at least creates tension in the friendship, because there's so many decisions that need to be made. And Pacaso eliminates all those hassles, right? We take care of all the dirty work. We bring together buyers so that it's easy for people to participate in co-ownership without the headache.
I love that. All right, a couple of questions here. There's there's more than a few. There's 2 here and there's like 4 on Facebook.
But let's go with these first. How is Pacaso marketing themselves? Like, what type of media are we seeing? That's the first question.
Yeah, so the 2 primary ways that we're marketing ourselves today, or 3 primary ways, would be 1, through our real estate agent partners. So every time we onboard a new listing, every time we partner with a new agent, we do a variety of things to help you market to your clients to generate more buyer leads and more listing leads. But in doing that, we're also creating awareness about Pacaso. So as an example, the first 2 things that we would recommend that you do if you're interested in working with Pacaso to grow your business is marketing to your past client database to see who may be interested in basically buying part of a home through Pacaso or selling down part of their home as a seller. So through that exercise, you're generating more business, and we're also introducing your clients to Pacaso. So that's definitely the primary marketing strategy today, is our partnership with real estate agents. The second marketing strategy is we have a team of people who are investing in a variety of online channels, everything from Facebook to Google to email to, all the same, I'm sure many of the same things that the people on this call do to grow their business digitally. And that's obviously, in the world that we're living in today, that's an area where we have to invest. And then the third, I would say, is really word of mouth and referrals. So far, and I'm sure this won't scale once Pacaso becomes larger, but currently well over half of all of our Pacaso owners are people that were referred by other Pacaso owners. So, many people dream about owning the second home. And then when you empower them to realize that dream in a really hassle-free and lower cost way, people want to talk about that. They want to share it with their friends. So that's a really powerful marketing channel for us as well.
I love that. All right. Second question is, well, then would you suggest that in a listing presentation,
We bring up Pacaso if it matches that type of home? And if it does, how would that look? How do you know if that's a home that Pacaso would purchase?
Yeah. So right now, we're a new company, so we're small and ramping quickly. So over time, we hope to have kind of more materials that will answer questions like this. But right now, the way that I would answer it is, if the home is epic, like if it's a home that would fit in a restoration hardware magazine or an interior design magazine, that's probably Pacaso worthy. If it's a home that needs some work, cabinets are a little dated, fixtures are a little dated, paint's off, that's probably not a Pacaso. So right now it's kind of a gut feeling around, how epic the home is. And to provide a little more context on that, people who are, the people who are buying second homes are indulging in a dream. This is a dream that they've been thinking about for a long, long time. And with Pacaso, one of the other added benefits, in addition to lowering cost for the buyers, is it also has the effect of sort of up-leveling your buying power. Like, back to that example, if you're $1 million buyer, there's not much you can get in Napa, a place like Napa or Malibu, I don't think you can get anything in Malibu for $1 million, right? Not even a lot. But through Pacaso, $1 million takes you very far. Through Pacaso, you could buy an $8 million house for $1 million. So the dynamic that gets created there is that people even have higher expectations around the caliber of the home, right? Because Pacaso up-levels their spending power, they want a really up-leveled house. They want a home that when they arrive at their second home, they want to feel like they made it, right? They want to feel proud of that decision and proud of that home. So we do have a fairly high bar. A long-winded way of saying we do have a fairly high bar for what homes are Pacaso worthy. But if you have one of those homes, we're ready. We're all ears. And the reason why your sellers would want to sell to Pacaso, ideally before they take it to market, is twofold. One scenario would be they fit into that bucket of a seller who wouldn't be a seller if they had to sell the whole home, right? There's a lot of sellers that are second home owners out there that are like that. They love their second home. They have an emotional attachment to it. They want to spend time there with their family and friends for the rest of their lives. They don't want to sell it. But if you can empower them to sell part of it, that is a game changer, because they could continue to use the home that they love while taking some chips off the table, eliminating all the hassle and lowering their costs. So that's one reason why somebody would sell to Pacaso, and you really can't do that anywhere else right now. That's an entirely new concept that's never existed before. The second reason, though, is that we're basically like an institutional buyer. Like we have capital, we buy houses for a living, so we're not going to nickel and dime the seller on a bunch of little details that come up, in inspections. If we commit to a home, we plan to close. So there's and we're willing to pay top dollar. We're not going to overpay. We're not going to be foolish as a buyer, because we have an obligation to make good decisions on behalf of the owners as the owner representative, but we will pay top dollar because the model can support that. So there's a lot of reasons why a seller would want to sell through Pacaso, or to Pacaso rather, as opposed to going to market and dealing with all the headaches that come with that.
All right. Let's get into the management fees and how that looks. What does it cover? So can you go over the 1% management fee and then repairs, maintenance, property tax, insurance, all of that?
Yeah, you bet. So in addition to the management fee, I'll talk about the other way that we make money too, because we're fully transparent. So we want all the agents on the call to know how we make money. We make money in two ways. One is on a markup on the real estate. So we charge a 10% markup. So if you see a $4 million home that's available as a whole house, we sell that home for $4.4 million divided by 8. That's kind of the revenue model number one. And there's a whole bunch of value and service that we provide in order to do that. We're creating the LLCs. We're lining up banks to provide creative financing. We guarantee the loans. So if one owner defaults, Pacaso steps in and covers their default so that other owners don't have to deal with that burden or risk. So we also carry the home. We pay interest rates and carry costs while we're holding the home to resell the other shares. So all that is baked into our upfront one-time fee that people are happy to pay because we're lowering the cost of ownership so much. The second way that we make money is on a management fee, and we charge 1% of the asset value per year. And we literally handle everything for that. I mean, we design the home, we provide software that enables the owners to share the calendar, we pay the bills, we coordinate vendors and repairs. We basically do it. There's really nothing that we don't do, and that's all covered by the management fee. Anything that is an actual cost, like something that we have to pay to operate the house. So the best examples of this would be like taxes or insurance or utilities. All those things are passed through at cost with no markup. And the way that it works is when an owner buys into Pacaso, we have a full year budget for the home, and there's a fixed monthly cost that the owner pays, which is reflective of their pro rata share of ownership. So if a $6 million home costs $10,000, I'm just kind of making numbers up, so don't hold me to these. They might be maybe a little different in reality, but a $6 million home is probably around 10 grand a month to operate. once you factor in everything, taxes and all this stuff. So you would pay 1/8 of that as a 1/8 owner of the Pacaso, and any of those fees are just passed through at cost, and our 1% fee would be baked into that.
Dude, I love that. Very awesome. All right. So then understanding that, and you guys are super transparent. I love that. What would the typical buyer look like? And what are the pre-qualifications that they have to go through to be able to purchase something like this?
So the typical buyer today is very qualified. And the reason why is because we require a minimum of 50% down. So we've partnered with leading banks. Our largest banking partner is First Republic Bank. First Republic offers 50% financing. Again, we guarantee the loan and coordinate everything. So it's just there and available to the owners who opt into this program. And the loan is at 50% loan to value, which means that you got to put 50% down. So most of the buyers are very, very qualified. You know, they're making good income. They have significant cash in their savings to make the down payment. And I would say about half of the buyers, even though we have really great financing available at 4% interest, half the buyers still pay cash. So very qualified is kind of the short answer. Long term, though, we envision that Pacaso will become far more mainstream and that homes will become more approachable. Like our mission is not about helping wealthy people buy more homes, although that happens to be, you know, kind of what's happening right now. And the reason why is because what we're finding is that the people who are most active in this environment, given all the uncertainty, you know, in the world right now and over the past year, you have to be pretty financially sound to be out making discretionary purchases on things like second homes. So therefore, that has sort of skewed the average price point of a Pacaso up quite a bit. And right now, the average price point ranges from $2 million to $8 million for the whole home price. So share prices are somewhere between $250,000 and $800,000 or so. But long term, that's not where we plan to stay. Long term, we hope that Pacaso shares are available at $50,000 to $100,000. Like imagine a $400,000 home at whatever lake is you know close to you in the Midwest or wherever you may live, and being able to buy a share of that for $50,000. That's where we're headed long term. And once the product becomes more widely available at different price points, I think the profile of the buyer will widen quite a bit.
All right. So do you eventually plan to become or plan to start selling outside of second home areas as well? So to kind of just make it more mainstream? Is that the idea long term?
No, I don't see us selling outside of second home areas, at least not anytime soon. One exception to that would be people who are using a Pacaso in what has historically been a primary home destination. So as an example, there's a lot of people that I know that live where I live here in Napa Valley that spend time in San Francisco or spend time in LA, you know, for work or for pleasure. And there's totally a world that I could imagine where somebody like me owns a Pacaso in the city. Because even though I live in wine country full time, it'd be great to have a place to go in the city. So yeah, someday I could see that being part of it, but I definitely, Pacaso will never be a primary home company. It's really about, it all ties back to the mission, you know, and our mission is about enriching people's lives through second home ownership. So we're not going to veer away from that mission in any way.
I love it, man. Well, that gives me a clearer picture of what you guys are doing. And I'm getting a lot of great feedback. I think the challenge is always having people or agents understand what this truly is and how it can benefit them as agents, right? We're selfish, it's normal, right?
Yeah.
To understand it in order to push it. But it definitely opens up a lot of opportunities that just we didn't have before. And I think as we start getting used to this, like as we start getting used to presenting this, if it is a second home that we're looking at, possible second home, and saying, hey, look, there's another option for you, Mr. Seller, right? Here it is. That opens up a whole lot of other things, man. So this is a very cool program. I'm going to continue to push it. And Austin, if you're okay with it, let's do it again in January or late December and start seeing how agents are using it too. If you can bring in like a couple of agents that have had great experiences with this, I'd like to see how they're using it. And I think we'll start seeing more agents say, hey, look, I'm using it like this. I'm using it as part of my business plan, as part of my marketing, and this can get pretty creative.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. We would, thank you for having us today. And we would absolutely love to come back with some of our agent partners and share best practices and experiences. And you're totally right. It's a huge opportunity. I mean, I don't really think I can recall meeting one person from the industry who didn't like the idea. I mean, it's kind of a win-win all around. We're empowering sellers with a new product. We're empowering buyers, with a better product that enables them to right-size their ownership. We're empowering agents to make a lot of money, and the money is all additive to the core business. It's not like if you're taking a $500,000 buyer in Napa, it's not like you're taking them away from a whole home purchase. Like they wouldn't have converted anyway. They were a window shopper. So we're empowering agents to convert window shoppers into, homeowners, and also on the listing side to win more listings. So it's kind of a win-win all around. I think the biggest challenge is that everybody's busy right now, especially in second home markets. The best agents are super, super busy. So this is one of these things that we need to invest in though, because there's a lot of people who aspire to own second homes. There's a lot more people who aspire to own second homes now than before, because COVID has presented many families with the flexibility to rethink how and where they live and work. So we have a real opportunity here to help a lot of people realize that dream and become homeowners. So we'd be very excited about working with everybody on the call. And as I mentioned earlier on the call, the best thing to do is visit us at Pacaso.com. That's Pacaso. Click on the button that Tristan shared earlier on the agent tab, and there's a section where you can input your information. We'll send you a marketing package. We're happy to attend your office meetings and talk about Pacaso if you'd like, virtually. And we'd love to equip you with the materials that you can share with your clients or past clients to try to find some buyers and put them into homes, and or find some sell down owners who may be interested in selling part of their home.
All right, man. Well, I just submitted my name. You'll see it there.
Awesome.
And one last question for you. Are you planning to launch in Europe anytime soon? That's the question.
Yeah, had it not been for COVID, we probably would have already been in Europe. We're very bullish about Europe. We think it's a super exciting opportunity, and we plan to be there. How soon? I'm not sure. It kind of depends on how quickly life and travel gets back to normal with the vaccines and everything else that's going on right now with COVID. But my best guess at this point is that we will have options in Europe, at least some options within 12 months, 18 months at the latest. But again, that's a total swag right now, given that a lot of things related to travel are kind of outside of our control. And one of the things that we found, which is probably pretty obvious after I say it, but people are looking at drive destinations. Like most people aren't real excited about getting on planes right now. So when we look at places like Napa and Lake Tahoe, which are drivable from San Francisco, or Malibu or Palm Springs, which is drivable from LA, we're seeing a lot more activity and interest there and traction than places that require a flight. So I think as time goes on, we'll have more fly destinations, but right now we're pretty focused on where buyers want us to focus, which are these drive destinations.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you everybody for watching here and on Facebook. This is recorded. It'll be on our YouTube channel, and we'll have Austin back in either late December or early January, and we'll see what else is happening. Thanks, Austin. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Bye.